What's up, everybody? Welcome back. In a previous video, we took a look at my get home bag, which is something that lives in the car. Let's wait a minute here. I'll see if some more people are going to join in on this live. Get some things together here. What's up, Northwest Prepper? What's up, everybody? What's up, Sam? Got a lot of gear on the table right now. What's up, Monster? So, in a previous video, we took a look at my get home bag. This is the Maxpedition. In a previous video, we took a look at my get home bag. This is the Maxpedition Typhon pack. So this would be something that's going to get me home. It lives in the vehicle. If I were to have a breakdown in my car and I needed to walk somewhere where where I could get a ride, or if I needed to exit the vehicle on a highway that's just completely deadlocked, and walk somewhere, or if I just needed to return home, this is what's going to get it done. So simple stuff in here, pretty basic, survival related stuff, lightweight pack. Just something that I can have some extra goodies on me to aid me in getting back home. So we took a look at that in a previous video. We also looked at my sort of EDC, my day kit. This is something that I take out when I go, into the woods for the day. So this is not really a bug out bag, but I guess you could consider it maybe a bug out bag. A lot of people might consider a bag this size to be like a 3-day bag. What's up, Urban? But for me, it's just sort of my everyday carry, woods bag, something that I can take out for the day. Now, I'm not planning on, staying long term, although I do have a tarp in here, so I could set up shelter if I needed to. Sometimes I'll be out and it'll start snowing or raining, and I do need to just throw up a quick shelter, cook some food, and I can do that with this kit. But today, we are going to take a look at my winter bug out bag. So I'm going to try to show you this in the picture here. Let me tilt you around. We're going to take a look at my winter setup, my winter bug out bag. So this is just the Mono 48. It's a 48-liter pack from Sabra, and this is what I'm going to use for my winter kit. So this would be something that I am planning on staying out in the elements for a few days. Now obviously it's best to bug in. What's up, Creative? Obviously it's best to bug in whenever possible, but there would be or could be those situations where you would have to actually exit your home, and you want to have stuff to be able to take with you, whether you just throw it in the car, you're going to a neighbor's house, you're going to a relative's house, or maybe you do need to seek shelter somewhere, in the event of like civil unrest or something like that. This would be the, reasoning behind this bag. A lot of people talk about bug out bags, and, it's good to have all your kit in one place. It's good to have everything organized. It's good to have everything, ready to go. The actual, circumstance where you would actually need to do that, maybe not. For those of us that do go out camping for, 3, 4, 5 days at a time, that's what I'm loading this up to do, so that in the event I did have to either actually bug out or just take this with me in the vehicle, it's still going to serve as a complement to all my other kits and still going to give me a bunch of additional gear. So you can see on the wall hanging back here, that's the bug out roll. That too has kind of the same mentality. It's something that's loaded up with gear that I can just quickly grab and go, throw it in the vehicle. If I don't have my own vehicle, I can just carry it. I can attach it to a pack. So I have a ton of gear that I'm able to take out with me. So we're going to actually, you guys are going to actually load this up with me. There is some things that I don't have. Maybe I can get some suggestions on things that I should put in here. But again, this is the Mono 48 pack. It's a really nice pack from Sabra. It's pretty much a backpacking pack, but it does hold a lot of weight. I've had this thing loaded up with, 30, 40 pounds, and I definitely don't plan on going anywhere near that with this particular loadout. But we're gonna see what we can put in here and maybe get some ideas for other things that I should put in here. So the only thing that I have in here so far is a 0-degree sleeping bag. Now this is gonna be a winter kit, so this is something that, you know, I'm gonna have that I'm able to use in cooler weather, because we are getting colder here in Michigan, and this is going to be something that I'm able to, you know, take with me in that colder weather. So I have a Sea to Summit. This is a 0-degree bag. It's a really nice bag. It's a down bag, so you can see even for 0 degrees, you can see it packs down really nicely. It comes with the compression sack for it, so you can really scrunch it down, you know, scrunch it down quite a bit, and you're able to fit that, you know, into your pack even this time of year when it's really cold and you know, you need a warmer bag. No, it's not not difficult at all. That's a good question, because a lot of times you get, you know, a 0-degree bag, synthetic or down, and they don't give you a large enough stuff sack for it. But Sea to Summit's one of my favorite, you know, sleeping bag companies, and I do have a lot of gear from them. And yeah, this is quite easy. So you can see it's just it's a really nice down bag. It gets really thick when you let it, you know, you can see how thick it's already getting here. It's got a really nice hood on it, and the foot box doesn't go down to a full mummy, which is what I like about it. It's kind of, it stays wider at the bottom here. You can see it's quite a bit wider. So you know, you don't feel claustrophobic in this bag at all. It's just something, this is my car camping in the winter bag. You guys are gonna see this again when I do a Walmart camp out. But just a really great bag. And then, yeah, to answer your question, so here we have it, it's out. Obviously it'll fluff up quite a bit more when you get it out. That's one thing with down bags, you wanna set them up, you know, right away when you get to camp so it's able to loft back up. But you can see that I'm just stuffing this back down in here. And that's, you know, it's a good point, because a lot of times you get sleeping bags and the you know, the cinch sack itself is too small. You can see it goes right back in there, and then you cinch the top up. And then what's nice is you also get their compression sack with it. So you just throw this flap over the top, just like that, and then you just press this down, and you can cinch this thing on all 3 sides here. So we can just cinch, and we can go to the back side, do the same thing, push it down and cinch. And then what I usually do, make sure it's all tucked in, and then I'll just put it on the table and kind of roll it so that it, you know, gets a nice shape there. And then you have a nice, you know, nicely packable, nice and warm sleeping bag. Yeah, it's Sea to Summit. They make really good stuff. So that's the first thing I'm going to put in the pack. So, you know, sleep system is generally the first thing you want to put down in the lower portion of your pack. So this pack can either be run as a dump style pack, where you can just sort of roll up the top, dry bag style, and cinch it over, or you can hook on the attached lid. I'm going to leave the lid on just because you can put extra things in that lid, and I'll show you that when we get to that point. But basically, yep, my sleeping bag is just going to go down in there first, and that'll give me some shape to the bottom of this pack here. It'll give us a nice footprint. Another thing I like about this pack is that it doesn't have a center zip. Try to get this lined up for you. It doesn't have a center zip, but it does have a side zip, which is nice, so I can access my, you know, any components along the side. If I had to grab something out, just like my cook kit, and it's underneath food or underneath other things, you know, I can grab that right out, which is really nice. So we're gonna zip that back up. Let me go grab the other part of the sleep system here. Again, you guys are gonna kind of be putting this together with me here. Gonna be sharing ideas back and forth. Let me go grab that. So speaking of Sea to Summit bags, what's up, Hike with Mike? Here's another one. This is the one I use in the spring and fall. It's not quite a summer bag. I believe it's like an 18-degree bag. But these things, they pack down super small. And so this is the pad that I'm going to throw in there for right now. I think this has an R value of like 3.2. I'm waiting on another pad from Sea to Summit that's out of stock right now. It's a rectangular pad that they're going to send me when it's back in stock, but it's not in stock right now. And I didn't want the mummy one. This one is a mummy one, but that's fine in the spring and the fall. But for winter, I want to be extra comfortable, and I believe that one has an R value of like over 4. I think it's like 5 or 6. But I'm going to put this in there just because it's good to have a pad in there with that sleeping bag. These also come with an air sack, or a pump sack is what they call it. It's basically, it lives right in here, and it basically, you just hook it up to the nozzle, you fill it with air, and then you squish it, and it fills this thing right up. So you don't have to pump, or you don't have to blow into it, which is really nice. So you don't have to have a pump that takes batteries. That'll run out. All right, so I'm gonna throw that in the bottom of our bag here. So we pretty much have our sleep system taken care of. So next we wanna work on shelter. Again, a lot of these things are going to mimic what you might have already seen in my get home bag and in my my everyday hiking bag. So what I'm going to put in here, I actually used to have this in my get home bag. This bag here. It's a 5x7 tarp poncho. But really when I got to thinking about it, again, the mentality of this bag is just to get home. So I don't necessarily think I'm going to need anything more than a quick tarp. So I just threw this 5x7 tarp in here instead of the poncho. You know, if I can get to another car and I'm soaking wet, that's fine. Again, you don't plan on staying out in the elements overnight with this bag here. So I thought I would swap that out and put the poncho tarp in the Bugout bag, because it's more than likely that if I'm out for a couple days, it might start raining. And even if I'm not using this as my primary shelter, you know, at camp or whatever, I might need to go out and hike. I might need to go out and find water. I might need to go out and, you know, anything during the day. So poncho tarp is going to go now in the Bugout bag. So I'm going to throw that in there. Now for my primary shelter, I'm going to put this Lunar Solo from Six Moon Designs. This is a one-person tent, super lightweight. It's really high quality. It's real similar to like the Z-Packs. If you guys saw Luke from Outdoor Gear review the Z-Packs, it's similar to that, but it's about a third of the price because it's not Dyneema. It is a sil nylon, but it sets up as a one-person shelter, and it sets up with a hiking pole. So I can easily either have a hiking pole with me, which is what I've done when I've gone backpacking. This is my backpacking shelter. Or, you know, obviously I can just grab a stick from the woods and use it with that. Or it also has a loop on the top of it that I can just hang as like a ridgeline and just hang the top portion of it up. And then this came seam sealed from the company. So it's all, this, kind of see the reflection there. It's all seam sealed. That's an option they offer. Because it is a sil nylon, it will eventually leak on those seams if you have a lot of rain. I had this in the rain for 2.5 days, downpouring, and it did not leak. So seam sealing is great. I might get a different stuff sack for this. I don't really like the form factor of the stuff sack here. Of course, there's no poles or anything in here, but I could probably get this into a different stuff sack that just made it, you know, wider and bigger, something like this maybe. And it might fit better in my pack. Again, you want to have your pack nice and organized. You want to have things in there that fit good. So that's an option, but for right now I'm just going to throw that down in the pack, and that'll kind of crunch sideways in there. Okay, so we have sleep system, we have shelter. Next, we should do cooking. The cooking elements, the cooking part of your kit should go in the middle part of your bag. So that's what we're going to do here. Let me move you over just a little bit. All right, so for cooking, what I'm going to take is I'm going to take the Solo Stove. This is the Solo Stove Titan, so it's not their smallest. It's a little bit larger than the smallest, but what's great about this, especially in the wintertime, when you need to boil water, because it takes a lot of snow to boil a little amount of water. If you've ever done that before, it takes a lot of snow. So having a small pot and trying to boil water in a small pot, especially if you're going to transfer it into, you know, something else that you're going to drink out of or carry water with, it's good to have a larger size pot. And this Titan comes with a larger size pot, which is cool. So the stove itself is not only a great gasifier stove, it works real well. You can set, you know, different elements up on top of it. You can rest a pan up here. I've done cast iron up here. You know, you can do a lot of things with that, but then you get this great pot. It not only has a bail handle on it, which is cool, but it has the long handles too. So if you were building a fire and you just wanted to set this on the fire, which I've done before, you not only have the long handles, but you have the bail where you could hang it. So it's just a great piece of kit. You know, it's a bonus that it comes with the stove. Obviously the stove nests in here, so you lose some packing space. You know, if you just had the pot itself, you know, you could load that up with other things, smaller cups, you know, utensils, other things like that. But to me, it's worth taking the stove because this thing is so easy to get lit with minimal amount of fuel, and it just works so well. So for boiling water, and obviously cooking, boiling water to fill up my other pots, it also has a little nozzle here, or a little spout, so it makes it really easy. If I boil water, I can then transfer it, you know, into a portable container such as this. And that's the next item, is just this little stainless steel Nalgene. This too can be put over the fire. It is single wall, so it can be put over the fire. You don't want to put any vacuum sealed bottle or double walled bottle over a fire, but this can definitely do that. So these are kind of my two pieces of cooking, not only to be able to cook on, obviously, but to also heat that water up. So pop that back in the little stuff sack here. And again, if you didn't need the stove part, if you knew you were going to be in a place where you could easily build a fire, you know, you could just take the pot. If you were trying to be inconspicuous or trying to stay stealth, having it with the stove in here is great, because then it doesn't create a lot of smoke, because it's a gasifier stove, so it doesn't put off a lot of smoke. And obviously your fire is contained in the solo stove itself. You're not building a bonfire that creates a lot of smoke and it's going to draw a lot of attention. So this to me is a great piece of kit, and that's why it's going in there. So that, and then my bottle, obviously I can boil water and put it in here. I also have just this little Frontier, just filter straw. It's your basic filter, just like a Sawyer, but it does come with a little, or I have a little pouch with it. So if I did need like a quick source of water, I could fill this little pouch up real quick, and then I could just drink from it from the straw, or I could fill this up, use the straw, and drink with it. It doesn't take up a whole lot of weight. It's really lightweight, so it's going to go in this kit. And then obviously you'd want to have like a lighter to start your fire with. We want some fire starter, so let's take a look at a fire kit next. Since Pro Cam Tech is a channel sponsor, I have a ton of Pro Cam Tech fire starters. So these are probably my favorite. These are the fast fire sticks. They've got new packaging. So these are the little fast fire sticks. You can get a ton of fires out of one stick. So that's probably what's going to go with me. Excuse me. They also have these fire strip rolls, which is basically this roll of wax paper. It's really lightweight, and you can create a lot of fires out of that as well. And then they have their ultimate fire tinder, which is just this fluffy stuff. I usually take this and I fill up little canisters with it. So in my other little fire kits, I'll take little tins and I'll put this and jam this down in the tins. You can get a lot of this in the tins. And then you guys have probably seen these before. These are their fire plugs. You know, again, you can jam a lot of these in a lot of little places. So probably just for this kit, I'll just probably take like a fast fire stick, or I'll take two, and I'll keep probably one with my cook setup, and then I'll take one with the extra pack that I'm going to take, or the extra little survival kit that I'm going to take with this kit. So really, cooking and starting a fire is there. That's pretty much all I need. I don't really need a cup. I can eat out of the bowl if I were to, or the pot if I were to need to make something like noodles or anything that I might come across. Obviously, we'll go over food in a minute, but I can eat right out of that, no problem. So I don't really see the need to have an extra cup. Obviously, I can drink out of this. But tell me what you guys think. I don't know. A lot of people will take a nesting cup and nest it on here, and I've done that before. But for this kit, I'm not going to do that. Yes, good question. Do I have anything besides the lighter to start a fire? So I'm going to take this Exotech match, these waterproof matches. These are like the lifeboat matches that'll start and they'll stay lit in water, snow, everything like that. So I'm going to take those. These are obviously a limited resource. Once you use them, they're gone. I will probably take, let's see, and I got gear everywhere because I was planning on doing this with you guys. Let me take a look here. All right, let's just put one of these in there. This is my favorite fire steel, just the Swedish fire steel, the Army edition. I have these with a lot of my knives. This to me is just the best ferro rod you can get. It works real well. It sparks real hot. So that's going to go in there as well. That'll last for a long time. So we'll pop that in there, and that's probably all I'll take is a lighter, a ferro rod, and then some matches. I do have this Titan light, but it runs on Zippo fluid and it runs out, so probably leave that for more of a day hike situation. So that would be kind of my cook kit. We can go ahead and load that up in there. Probably put the water bottle in the side here. Side compartment. Lift this up here. Side compartment. This Sabra pack has really high sides, which is really cool. So you're not going to lose it. A lot of times you'll get a pack and your bottle will sit like that, and you run the risk of losing it. But that's not going anywhere. I am going to grab a small pouch. This is just a little small Sabra gear pouch. And we'll throw the fire stick in there. We'll throw the little water filter in there. Throw the lighter in there. Throw the ferro rod in there. Throw the matches in there. And that'll sort of be the fire kit. Now in Michigan, I can get a lot of natural tinder, so it's really never hard for me to find something to light a fire with. So that's going to be the fire kit. We'll leave that out for right now. Pop this solo stove down in the kit. Get some of this other stuff moved out of the way here. And again, once you have everything loaded in your kit, you can go back and reorganize and make everything fit better and slim everything down. Another thing for shelter that I wanted to mention was extra cordage. So obviously it's a good idea to take extra cordage. These are just some hanks of cordage that I have, just all different lengths, different colors. So those will be going into a kit. I also made up, if you guys are familiar with Corporal Corner's channel, I also made up some of these quick deploy Ridgelines, which are really cool. Basically what it is you've got a bowline on one side, you've got a couple Prusik knots here, or toggles on there, and then basically what you do is you can just fast deploy this. So you just pull it out. You can even hook it onto a tree or something, and then you just pull this out. It quick deploys right out of here, and it's about 20 foot long. So what's great about this is you string it between two trees, and then you can easily hook it to your shelter. So in my case, either using a tarp or I can use that tent and I can run a ridgeline and then I can clip it right to the peak of the tent. And that works really well. That way I don't need to use a trekking pole or anything. The only time I'd need to use a pole is if I was in a situation where I had to be out in the open, no trees, couldn't hook to anything. So basically what you do with this is you wrap so again, there's just a bowline right here on this side, and then I have two Prusik loops here that slide along the ridgeline, and these are this is just standard paracord 550 cord, and then these are I believe 1.8 millimeter paracord. Oh, hey Penny, what's up? Thanks for joining in. So these are like 1.8 millimeter, so it's just smaller. It's like type 1 paracord. And what's great about these is what you do, this is all quick disconnect, which is really cool. And I'll link Corporal Corner's video to how to build this and why it's so functional. But I'll show you guys real quick. So let's take my monitor, for example. Let's say this is a tree. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna wrap the cordage around the tree just like that. And then basically I'm going to stick, you could just do like a, I don't even know what the knot's called, where you pull all the cordage through and then it cinches up. But I want this all to be quick disconnect. So you basically just take it and you pull a loop through. So again, you take your bowline, you just pull a loop through, and then you can just use a stick in the woods. For this example, I'll just use the fast fire stick here. And basically that's gonna cinch down to the tree. So now you have it cinched to one side of the tree, and then quick disconnect, you just pull out your toggle. You're basically making a marlin spike hitch, and that quick disconnects it. So we can hook that back up, just throw a loop through here, throw your stick that you find on the ground, or a tent stake works too, or anything, and then that's gonna be the one side of our ridgeline. So then we're gonna take, and we wanna hook up our other side of the ridgeline. So on our other side, I just do a trucker's hitch, or you could do a taut line hitch too, but again, I want it to be super simple, super easy, super quick disconnect. So you basically just wrap that around. I'm gonna make a loop in the cord there, and then I'm gonna go back on that loop and basically pull a half hitch through so that I have just a quick releasing loop in that. And again, this might look confusing, you guys. I'll link the video so that you can see it in detail. But basically I'm just making a loop just like that, and we're gonna make a trucker's hitch. So basically, let's say that the other side of this is, you know, with my bowline on the other side. Let me put that like around my leg so it stays sort of tight. Okay, so then we got our other side here, and then basically what you do with your trucker's hitch is you take your end here, you throw it through there, and then you can tension this up. So you can just pull that really tight, and it's gonna tension it. And then you just pinch it off right here, and you're gonna create another just little half hitch loop right there at the end. So basically you've got your trucker's hitch, it's nice and tight, it's not going anywhere. So you have your bowline and your marlin spike hitch on the one side, you have this on the other side, which is adjustable, and you can tension it. And then what you do is you take your, let's go back to the other side here so I don't have to pull all these all the way across the ridgeline. But basically, I'll show you how this disconnects. You just pull this, and then the whole thing disconnects, and then you got your loop here, and you just pull that out. So that you're back to no knots, no pulling knots, no doing anything. And when you're stressed or when you're in the winter time, you know, that really comes in handy. So I'm gonna hook this side up here again, and I'll show you what the Prusik knots are for. All right, so basically you have that on there. I've got my Prusik knots. What's up, Great Lakes Reliance? So one of these Prusik knots is gonna stay on this end, and the other Prusik knot would go on the other end. So let's just pretend that this is the two ends of my tarp. So my tarp would go in here. You'd hook one side of your tarp to this, the other side of your tarp to this. Real easy. You can take the loop, you can stick this loop through the grommet in your tarp and stick a stick in there, and then it's going to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. Or you could use just little carabiners. You could clip carabiners on there. And then what's good about these Prusiks is once they tighten up, they won't move. See, I'm pulling super hard on that, it won't slide. So basically you can tension this, you can tension the width of your tarp, you can slide this over and tension it, and then that's not gonna move. But it does move when it's not under tension. So that's the beauty of a prusik knot. Again, when we pull on it, it won't move, but if we don't pull on it, it will easily slide. So you can adjust your tarp. Thanks for the donation, Carlos. Thanks for the super chat. So you can position your tarp anywhere along your ridge line, or again, if I'm setting up my tent, I can just slide this to the middle. I can hook that up right to the loop on my tent, and then it holds my tent up. And I can quickly tension the line and everything like that. So that is the quick deploy or rapid deploy Ridgeline. Again, learned it from Corporal's Corner. It works really good. And then the way you stow this back down is basically you just slide your prusiks back over to where you have your bowline. Just take this, and I'm going to throw the bowline and the 2 prusiks on that side, spread out my fingers, and then I'm just going to do a figure 8. And this is what gives it the quick release where you can just pull it. If you try to do loops, it'll get all tangled on you. So basically I'm just going to figure 8 this until I have a little bit of line left. Give me a little bit more line there. And basically I'm going to take this and I'm going to wrap it. Just wrapping it around here. Wrap it around your whole bundle that you just made. I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but I thought it was pretty dang cool. So I'm just wrapping it up just like that. Then once we get close to the end, I'm just going to do a clove hitch. So we'll get up here, and I'm going to move one of these aside, and it creates an X. Not sure if you guys can see that there, but it creates an X. And basically you just go wrap it around, and you go straight through the X. Pull that tight. So you can see you have like a little X there. Just pull that tight. That's your clove hitch. And then just like that, you've got yourself a rapid deploy Ridgeline with no knots, nothing you got to do to untie it. It all just slips free once you do it right. So I have this one. I made up 2 of them. One's going to go in my everyday carry kit, and then this one will probably go in my Bugout bag. So that's that. So between this cordage here and the rapid deploy Ridgeline, that's going to be my cordage. Let's build a little tool kit here. Let's see, I'll just put this stuff in this pouch here. So that would be kind of my little shelter kit. Another thing I want to get for this is a roll of that Gorilla Tape, the 1-inch stuff. I'll put that in here as well for making repairs. So we'll set that aside. So we have sort of our fire and water treatment kit. We've got our shelter building kit. And next, let's go to clothing. It is winter time, so I just use a Sea to Summit compression bag, or actually this is just a regular, little sill bag. So the extra things I would take is wool socks, because you can wash them just with water. You can wash them, wring them out, dry them, and they work good. So an extra pair of wool socks, like a t-shirt, and then a thermal layer, and that's about it. That would be probably what I would take, maybe a pair of boxers or something like that. Just so if you are out, 2 to 3 days at a time, you've got a change of clothes. So we'll just pretend that my clothes are in here. Go ahead and I'll throw that in the kit right above my cook kit that we threw in there. All right, so what are we down to? We got our fire kit. Oh, med kit. So I am building med kits. If you guys saw in my previous video, this is my range bag kit. This is just a random kit that, these are trauma kits, by the way. So they have gauze, they have emergency trauma dressing, Celox, or a hemostatic agent, tourniquets that I usually take with them, a little boo-boo kit. So this one goes to the range. This one is kind of just a random. I throw this in my glove box in my car, even though I have a whole nother kit in my get home bag. This one I haven't finished yet, but this will probably be another kit. And then this one's probably going to go in the Bugout bag. So this is just a little pouch from like Tactical Assault Gear, I think it is. And I just put a med pouch or a patch on it, and it's going to work great for just a little Bugout trauma kit. So in the top here, I just have a bunch of gauze. Ugh. Spills out. On the top, yep, just have a bunch of gauze here. Let me lower that light. Bunch of gauze on the top. And then I have on order more trauma dressings and more hemostatic agent, and I will put that in the inside. That fits right down on the inside. And then I have just these little boo-boo kits that I make up, which has large square bandages, some gauze pads, some alcohol prep pads, which not only are good for cleaning, but you can, if you had to use some tape and fix your tarp or something like that, you could clean it up. And then I have some of this bacitracin and zinc ointment, which is basically neosporin to prevent infection. And then I'd throw some other meds in here like Advil, some anti-diarrhea medicine, maybe some Tums or something like that, and then possibly a antihistamine. So if, you get bit by something, or you get, not so much in the wintertime because the bugs are gone, and also, all the poisonous plants are gone. Summertime, if you get like poison ivy or something, you want to stop the itch to be able to sleep, you can take an antihistamine. So that's going to be our med kit. That I'm going to throw in the top lid when we get there. So let's see, electronics. That's a big, well, let's first talk about navigation. So when I go day hiking, I don't really need much in the way of a compass. I did have this in my EDC hiking kit. It's just basically a little Suunto compass with the mirror on it. I have a smaller little Silva compass. It's basically the same thing. It's just a tiny little version. I think I'm going to put this in my hiking bag or my everyday carry bag because it's just small and it's not something I plan on using a lot. Again, I'm only out for the day, so even though things happen, I'd rather have the smaller one in there, and then I'd rather have the larger one with the mirror with me for an extended amount of time, like a bug out period. You can also use the mirror to signal too with the sun, so it works as signaling. A little repair kit. This has some tape on it and a needle in it. Let's throw that in our shelter kit. So I'll throw that right down in there. So I want to throw that in that kit or this kit. I guess I'll keep it with the shelter stuff, since that would be used for fixing shelter type stuff. So I'll leave it in there. So navigation. So I have this. I do have another Suunto compass that I used to use. Is this a Suunto? Yeah. Used to use this. I don't know where this is going to go. I'll probably just put this in my get home bag. Again, if I'm, on a highway or something, needing to get home, I really am not going to need a compass. So this is probably just going to go in my get home bag because it's kind of my least, doesn't have the mirror on it. Excuse me. And then with that, just a set of these micro notes from Polka Pen, and then a Polka Pen. Basically, if you haven't seen these, they're just, tiny little pens that snap shut. They've got a little O-ring here. You just flip it around, snap it, and it becomes, a regular size pen. You can get these with Right in the Rain cartridges. So that, the micro notes, and the compass is pretty much my navigation. So let's build another little kit for that. I'll just use another one of these little pouches, I guess. Throw that down in there. Electronics, let's see. I know I want to have a flashlight. I like AA and AAA flashlights for bug out related stuff. Obviously, my vehicle, I have an 18650 flashlight. I have a headlamp, a rechargeable headlamp. In my hiking kit, I have I believe a AAA stream light. I'm a big fan of that because you can find AA's and AAA's everywhere. Recharging is cool, but once you run out of juice or ways to charge your equipment, you're done. So if you have backup batteries, that's going to last a lot longer than being able to recharge stuff. I don't have a solar panel in this kit. You know, I do have a solar panel in my car that I can recharge my big battery bank with, and I can charge all sorts of devices on that. I have 12 volt, you know, 110 volt with my my battery bank, but in a kit like this, you know, you don't want to rely too heavily on that stuff, and for me, it's just extra weight. So it'd be cool to maybe take like, you know, a couple little battery banks or one battery bank. But again, after, you know, you charge your phone like once with that and you're done. So what someone mentioned in the previous live for one of my kits would be a crank radio. Again, not so much for the get home bag, not so much for the everyday hiking bag, but for your bug out bag, something where you might be out a few days before you either get rescued, you get picked up, you know, the threat ends or whatever. I wouldn't rely on electronics in a huge way. So I'm not putting a battery pack in here or anything like that. I probably will get one of those crank radios though, because at least with that, you can get yourself a tiny charge for your cell phone if you need to make a call or something like that and your cell phone went dead. You can crank that up and make a charge. Chances are if you're bugging out though, cell phones probably won't work. If it's bad enough, cell phones probably won't have any service anyway. An earthquake levels your city, for example, and you need to hike to get to safety, tornado, flood, whatever, chances are the cell towers are going to be out. So I wouldn't rely too heavily on electronics, but definitely a AA or AAA flashlight with extra batteries. So I have this. I haven't decided what I'm going to take for like a headlamp yet. A hands-free source of light is always a great option, especially at night when you're doing things. Maybe you have to put up a shelter at night, you have to collect firewood at night, you have to you know, break into a building at night, I don't know, anything. Hands-free lighting is the way to go. So I just have this little stream light, which I'm not really using for anything else, so maybe that'll go in this kit. I also have this little Claymore cap on. I haven't found a place where I like this yet. Like, I like all my gear to have a place that makes sense. And this is a cool light. You hit the on button and it's got just a light out the front. It does have a tilt clip on it. Although it's plastic, it'll probably break fairly quickly. And then you can hold it down and it adjusts the brightness. So you can go much brighter. You can go much dimmer. And then it has a mode button here, which is cool. So you can switch it to red light. And then again, you can go high or low. And then you can also switch it to sort of like this lantern mode, which you can go really high. And it provides, you know, a ton of light, or you can go all the way back down. So it's a cool little light, and it's USB rechargeable. I just don't know where I want to put this yet. I don't really have a home for this yet. So yeah, I don't think I would put it in my bug out bag. I think I would rely, again, more on the AA, AAA headlamps. So probably just 2 lights like this would be fine. So I can put those, I'll put those in with the navigation, I guess. I'll put the electronics in with that. And then extra batteries I would put in here, just seal them up in a little Ziploc and put, you know, maybe 2 or 3 sets of extra batteries in here. And that's going to get you by for a week. You know, this kit isn't going to be planned on, I'm never coming home again, I'm never going to get rescued. You know, you're not going to have enough supplies to do that. You're not going to have enough electricity. You're not going to have enough battery. You're not going to have enough food. You're probably not going to be able to be out in the elements that long. So again, building a kit like this is more or less just to have your gear in one spot, to know what you have, to practice with what you have, and to get you to safety. Not something that you're just going to go and live, you know, in the woods. So yeah, so that's kind of the mentality I have with all my kits. I got my get home bag or my 12-hour bag. That's going to get me home off a highway. It's going to get me home in the chance of a disaster, or it's going to get me from my home, you know, down the street where I need to get a ride, an Uber or a friend or a relative, whatever. I've got my hiking bag, which is basically just a, you know, a glorified get home bag. And then this is the kit that you would take, have to exit the home, have to maybe go stay somewhere in the woods. Maybe the shelters are all closed. You know, Hurricane Katrina, there was people sheltered all over the place. Those that, you know, couldn't get to safety, couldn't get to relatives. You know, you'd never know when something like that might happen. And shelters can only hold so many people. So for me, I'd almost rather go and set up my own shelter and set up my own system or my base camp with neighbors or relatives than I would going to a shelter. So anyway, that's kind of the mentality. What haven't we talked about yet? Tools. Let's see. I'm obviously going to take a couple of these. Obviously, hand warmers are great for every kit. Thermal blankets are great for every kit. Probably put these in with your med kits. Let's see. So food, we haven't talked about that. MREs is going to be the way I'm going to go for this. I have these little energy bars, and these are great for, you know, throw 1 or 2 in your get-home bag. Throw maybe 1 in your hiking bag just in case. You know, those are times when you're planning on, you know, you can go a few days without food, no problem. So, you know, I wouldn't rely on something like this for your bug out bag. I see people putting all sorts of crap in their bug out bag. You know, they put candy bars, they put nuts, they put, you know, drink packs, they put coffee. I mean, guess coffee, fine, but, you know, for me, it's more about, I know I'm going to be out for a few days, whereas with the get-home bag and the hiking bag, yeah, okay, I could get stuck somewhere for a day, and I can just munch on one of these, and it's a meal replacement, and I'll be fine. But I'm not going to waste space in my pack for things like that aren't going to do you a whole lot of good if you have to be out for multiple days. MREs, on the other hand, where it's a full meal replacement, it's like 2,000 calories versus, you know, 100 or something, which is what these usually have. Okay, it does have 400 calories in it, but still, not a lot of protein, 8 grams of protein, where in an MRE, you're going to get like 100 grams of protein, and you're going to get a lot more calories. It's a true meal replacement. Yeah, peanut butter packets the same way. I mean, you know, I look at that stuff like a waste of space. Whereas an actual MRE has an entree, it has snacks, it has, you know, things like that in a very small sealed package. So I think wait for what you get. And MRE is the way to go. And obviously the military is the same way. You know, if they're going to be out on a you know, hike for a couple of days, they're taking a couple MREs. They're not going to take little odds and ends. Maybe as a morale booster or something like that, but chances are they're not going to waste space in their kits with that. So I'm not going to either. Bug out bag is going to be strictly for water. You could take some tea, you could take some coffee if it's up to you, but I'm fine just drinking water. I can make spruce tea. I've made all sorts of teas and the herbal teas in the woods. But as a meal replacement, I'm going to take an MRE. So I have those on order. I have a box of them. There's like 12. I'd probably put like 3 or 4 in my bug out bag. Put maybe 1 or 2 in my car kit bag. Probably in my bug out roll is where the other ones will go. They are high sodium content, but what are you going to do? You know, you can't be picky and choosy when you're surviving. And again, we're not talking about, you know, survivor, doomsday apocalypse fantasy stuff. We're not talking about going and living in the woods. We're talking about getting from point A to point B and being somewhat comfortable doing it if you had to shelter over somewhere that's, you know, not ideal. And to me, it's just a waste of space to take just smaller items. I'd rather just go with a full-blown MRE and just be done with it. So that's going to be my food portion of this kit. Communications, again, you know, a lot of people will take something like this, a Baofeng radio, or this is a Woxin radio, ham radio. These are great, but again, once the battery dies, you're done. So these are better to me to have in your, you know, get home bag. Something that I can leave in the car, I can charge it in the car, I can have it charged, and if I needed to, you know, go somewhere and I needed comms with somebody else, I could do that. I have this radio, which also, nope, this one doesn't do weather. And then I have my MERS radios in my bug out roll. So between, you know, my get home bag, my bug out roll, even if I left my hiking kit at home, I'd be fine for a day, for maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, whatever. And then we move on to the bug out bag, where that's something that you're taking specifically to stay, you know, out for an extended time. Again, you know, I'm kind of up in the air on something like this. Yes, it'd be cool to have. It'd be cool to listen to like weather, but you're probably better off with a weather radio. And I mentioned earlier getting a crank radio. A lot of times those crank radios have weather built into them, you know, a weather radio. And those you crank up and the radio's going to work. You don't have to rely on power. So this, again, you see a lot of bug out bags with it. I just don't think it's necessary, and it's not gonna go in my bug out bag. that is going to be something that's, you know, for a different kit. All right, so we're down to, let's throw all this stuff in there. We got our fire slash water kit. We've got our navigation repair type or navigation kit. We've got our extra cordage, our shelter kit with extra cordage and tape and sewing needle and all that good stuff. That'd be a good spot for maybe like a little fishing kit. You could put that in there. I'll probably build one of those because I am in Michigan. I could use that. And then our med kit. So I'm going to throw this stuff down. I'm actually going to keep the fire kit out. So let's keep this fire kit out. I'll throw my shelter building kit in the bag because my shelter's in the bag anyway. I'll throw my navigation stuff in there because I really don't need that quick access. So we'll shove that down in the bag. And then for our top lid, that's where I'm going to put my med kit in the top lid. And then I'll put my fire kit in the top lid as well. So that's going to live in there. All right, so really we're down to a few other things. Let's see how long we've been on here. Almost an hour. Wow. Thanks everybody for the comments. If I'm missing you, I'm sorry. I'm trying to read that at the same time. Thanks for the super chats. Those of you guys have super chatted. There's a super chat button down there if you want to donate to the cause here. Tools. So a knife. You want to have a good knife. This is a knife that I'm going to be reviewing, I think tomorrow. I'll probably do that video. This is from Demo Knives. It's DMO. I'm not sure if they pronounce it DMO or Demo. Very, very nice knife. You can see how well balanced it is there. Super cool knife. You can see how thick it is. It's really thick. I don't have the exact specs, but I'll have that, of course, for the review. Used this out in the woods a couple times. It's a baton champ. You know, it works really well for that. Razor sharp. Comes with a decent Kydex sheath. I put a tech lock on it. So something like that you want to have in your bug out bag. Just a camp tool like this is a good idea to have. Something that's going to stay sharp with some decent steel. I think this is 1095, but easier to sharpen that way. So a nice tool, and I'm probably going to get an Rat 3 from Ontario to go in this bug out bag, just because it's a $50 knife. I won't really miss it if it's just sitting in this bag. Not something that I'm using all the time. I'll probably get one of those for that, and that would go in here. This is the little EDC partner pack that Sabra makes as well. You can wear this all different ways. You can wear it, sling style. You can wear it around the hip. You can attach it to your leg. I've done that before, where you attach it as kind of a drop leg. This would be what I would take if I had to leave my camp and go collect things. I'd put my knife in here. I'd put my flashlight in here, my headlamp in here. I'd put maybe a small shelter in here with some cordage. Load this up, put a little med supply in here. And something like this you could take with you if you had to leave camp to go collect things. That way you still have items on you that's going to help with that. So again, I'll probably put a Rat 3 in here. Power bank, I don't take one for my bug out bag. I just don't think it's necessary. You're going to charge your cell phone maybe once or twice. Chances are, if you're actually bugging out, your cell phone's going to do you no good anyway. So then it comes down to maybe charging flashlights. And again, I just don't see that it's necessary to take a power bank. I think it's just a waste of space. I think it's a waste of space, just like the energy bars. Now, in your get home bag, I think it's a great idea because, yeah, okay, you might need to, you left the office or you left the highway and your phone wasn't charged, and you need to give it that 100% boost to be able to use the GPS or get home or something like that. But in a situation where you're actually bugging out, where you're actually going to have to use this stuff and survive for a few days, I just don't think the power bank is worth the wait. It's going to die right away, especially in the wintertime. It's cold. It's going to die right away. Like I said, you're going to charge your phone maybe once or twice. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the crank radio. That's really the way to go, I think, for a bug out bag, because that will give you a few percent of juice when you need it on your cell phone over and over and over again. That may give you a little percentage boostage on if you had a rechargeable flashlight or a rechargeable headlamp. You could crank that thing. Plus, it's a radio. Plus, it's a weather radio. So I think for the weight and the size and the cost, they're only like, I don't know, $50 or something. I'm going to order one. I'm going to order a Midland. I've had one before. I think I gave it away. But that's going to go in my bug out bag, because that to me is a renewable source without having a solar panel or without having a battery bank. So again, I just don't feel like it's worth it because it's going to die right away. But yeah, definitely like a knife as a tool. And then my last tool that's going to go on the outside. So this would be like what I would take with me again, just as a, you know, something that I had to leave camp with. I could put, you know, part of the MRE in here or something like that and just have a little snack. So that's going to go in the bag. Throw that in there. All right, so actually we're getting down to where I can, got this bag all loaded up here. So again, with this Sabra bag, there's two things that you can do. One, you can roll the top up and you can leave the top lid off. So you can use it just like that. Get you guys down here. So you can leave it just like that, or you do have the option of using the top lid. This just clips off. You could actually probably clip this off and make it a fanny pack or something like that, but I have the little partner pack inside, so I don't need it. And then again, up here is my med kit and my fire starting kit. So med kit, fire starting kit, food like MREs, my extra clothing is gonna go on top. In the midsection, you've got your cooking, so I've got my pot, I've got my, what else did we have in there? Oh, shelter. So I have my tarp, I have my tent, and then at the bottom you have like your sleeping bag and pad. And then again, what's nice about this pack is that I can access that all down the side. So if I just wanted to pull out the solo stove, for example, boom, it's right here. I can pull that out, zip it back up. Now chances are, again, if you're bugging out, you may not be on the move all the time. You might set up base camp somewhere, so this is probably gonna be all set up anyway. So that stuff clips to there. Obviously I could repack this and, you know, just figure out different configurations. I mentioned on that tent that I might just do a compression sack for it instead of the thing that it came with. Let's see, what else do we have here? So we have straps that go across. Maybe I hooked these up to the wrong thing. Yep, I did. So we have straps that come across here that we can use to cinch this down. One at the bottom here too. Let's see, where's the bottom one? No, this is a Sabra pack. This is the Sabra Mono 48. All right, so cinch that down and we can hook our top lid up. Just like so. So there we pretty much have our bug out bag, our 72-hour bag. Again, I would configure this, tighten everything down, and make it all streamlined. So the last tool that I would put on the outside, you guys are probably saying, what about a saw? What about an axe? What about a shovel? Okay, well, you guys still there? Okay, I got this new tool for review. This is called the Adventure Mate AMV2. So this is what I'm gonna put in my bug out bag. So it's got an axe, or a little hatchet here, a really nice, really nice weighted, it's really heavy duty material. It's got kind of a rubberized handle here. It feels really good in the hand. I mean, time will tell. I'm gonna take this out and do a full test with it, obviously. But it's got a nice pommel on the back. It's got a stake lifter there. You can use that to lift pots as well. You want to have the cover on it, but you could use that in a pinch to lift that pot, lift my solo stove pot with the bail. I can lift that off the fire. And then what's really unique about this is that there's several different tools built in this. So where this is going to ride is it's going to ride in the side here. So I have my water bottle, crouch you down again. I got my water bottle on this side, and then this side is where this is gonna ride. So again, this pack has nice deep pockets, so it would go down in the pocket down there. And then there is a strap. Just undo the strap there for the front compression. Give myself a little extra cordage there. Okay. and that would buckle up to the front, and there you go. My axe is going to be ride nicely in there. It's not going to come out once this is buckled up to the other side. You tighten it down. That's not going anywhere. It's going to ride in there really nicely and pull it out really easily. So let me show you a little bit more about this, and then I'll wrap it up. This will be a future review right here. Yeah, wasn't it to the rear? Oh yeah, to the rear. You're right. Yeah, always turn your blade to the rear. It's a good idea. Good tip. So it's got a really sharp tip on it, more of a hatchet. It looks like it's going to split really well, just by the heft of the thing there. What's up, guys? And then what's cool is you just flip this. Let me put the mask back on. I don't know how long this little sheath is going to last. It's pretty flimsy little leather, but I can always make something for that. Just copy it and make it out of a little thicker material. So you flip this up, just this little handle here, and then you depress. There's a button here. You depress it, and out comes a saw. So then you just flip it around here like that, flip it down in there till it locks, and then you've got yourself a saw. And it actually looks like a pretty decent saw. Again, I haven't tested this or anything, but it does look like a pretty decent saw. So that's cool. That's going to cover my saw and my axe all in one, all in a nice combo here. You can flip that back around, press this button. It does lock in there quite good too. Pop that back out, flip her back around, lock her in, and you're back into axe mode there. And then it also has this, which I wouldn't, this actually is the shovel part, and I'll show you this in a minute. This actually goes in here. Like that. You button it up, and then this comes down, and there's a magnetic clamp there, and so you could clip this onto like inside your vehicle. You could clip it onto the outside of your pack. You know, I could clip it onto the front, something like that, but no, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the hatchet and the saw like I showed you on the side of the pack, but I'm going to put this in the pack. So I'll put this towards the back. It'll work as sort of an extra stability in there. It's really flat, so it'll slip right down in there, no problem. I may not even take this case for it. Might take it out of the case, but you get a pretty heavy duty shovel here. So I mean, it's heavy duty. It's large enough to actually be useful as a shovel. It's also got the foot pegs to it here too. So basically that just works the same way. You just flip this lever up, press the button, pull your saw and axe out, pop this bad boy in there like that, and you've got yourself a shovel, and a pretty big shovel at that. So again, this is a pretty promising tool. I don't know anything about it. I don't know the cost, but I'm going to, beat the crap out of this and report back to you guys. But I think this, for something that lives in the car or lives with your Bugout bag and materials, would be a great option to have, because you're getting 3 tools in one. You're getting a decent splitting axe, hatchet. You're getting a decent saw, from what I can tell, and then you're getting definitely a decent handle, and definitely a nice rigid shovel. So I will beat the crap out of this thing for you guys and report back. Maybe it's crap, I don't know. It seems to be really tough. You guys know that I wouldn't bring a product in to even look at if I thought it was just complete junk, but this thing caught my eye. It's like plastic right here, but it's like a heavy duty, it's more like a heavy duty nylon. It's like an ABS, maybe, like a really heavy duty ABS. And then the clip itself is metal, I believe. Yeah, the clip itself is metal. The shovel's obviously metal. And then it looks like you've got a mix of metal and plastic components in there. Then again, in the handle, it looks like you've got like a mix of, it looks like the plastic is on the inside, but then there's like this metal collar on it. I mean, it seems really heavy duty. It just, from what, you know, from all the products I've tested and seen, this thing does seem really heavy duty. It locks in there really good. You know, you've got a huge metal pommel right there. Again, I'll do the testing for you guys so you know whether it's cool or not. It is made in the USA, which is cool. Don't know the price on it. It might be really expensive. I don't know. I haven't done a bit of research on it yet because I just got it. But while I was doing this bug out video, I said, yep, instead of taking a silky saw, instead of taking an axe, and instead of taking a different shovel, which a shovel I would never probably take, but since it's here, you know, yeah, it is. It's way better than one of those folding, you know, GI shovels or whatever. So again, I wouldn't probably keep it with this kit on the outside of the bag, but can definitely put this shovel, the shovel head part, right in this little kit, and then this can easily slide down in the bag, no problem. You know, that can ride just in the back of your bag. You know, if you need it, you need it. If you don't, you don't. But the important part, the saw and the axe, is on the outside. So that's it, guys. That's what I got from my bug out bag. Probably a hygiene kit would be good, you know, something like that. Again, this is just something for, you know, for just, you know, absolute disaster, bailout, going to be out, you know, in the elements for a few days, trying to get rescued. So, you know, a lot of those things, a lot of those bug out videos that you've seen, including my bug out videos in the past, because I've done a lot of bug out kit bags, and I've put lots of crap in them. But just the more and more you go out, the more and more you train, and, you know, the more and more you learn, you know, the less and less you have to carry. So that's it for me. That's going to be my loadout for my winter bug out bag. I will take this camping, you know, with me when I go do my winter camp, and you know, and we'll see. And I'll do kind of a mock bug out, I guess. But I'm going to get those MREs shipped in and get those loaded up, get everything else loaded up. I'd love to hear your guys' questions and comments in the comment section. I know there's a lot of comments that I probably missed, so I will go back and I can't go back and reply to the live comments, but if you have a question that that I missed in chat, just wait maybe 20 minutes or so after this live for it to process, and then you can go on the actual video page and leave your comment, because I noticed that in the past few videos, when I did my get home bag, when I did my hiking bag, my day hike bag, there were a lot of questions, but I couldn't answer them in the live chat. So if you guys just wait a minute and go back to the actual video when it posts, it usually takes about 20 minutes to render the HD version. Then you guys can post your questions there, and I'll be sure to answer them. So thanks everybody for stopping by. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out. Again, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, tips for me, things that I missed, leave it in the comment section, and I will answer those questions for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.